All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Gentry George. I'm really excited to begin this series with someone I've known for quite some time. Maleek Washington and I began as young dancers at the school at Jacob's Pillow, studying in the contemporary program under Milton Myers. Years later, our path crossed again when Maleek came to Neuro School of the Arts and created work with my students. I'm happy to reconnect now at this point in our artistic journeys and talk about creativity, perseverance, and finding your own voice. Maleek, welcome to Creative Voices in Dance. Before we get into everything, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and where your journey has taken you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maleek Washington. Born and raised from the Bronx, New York, a New Yorker through and through. My journey through dance has been one of growth, inspiration, and serendipitous moments of full circles. Uh, Going from LaGuardia to Boston Conservatory, I started my dance career at City Dance Ensemble in Washington, D.C., and then going on to dance with Jose Navas in Montreal, and later on with Kyle Abraham, and then Camille Brown. I've been able to touch multiple other choreographers like Francesca Harper, Helen Pickett, Edgar Zendejas, and many more through places like Jacob's Pillow, Springboard Montreal, through Alexander Wells, and other programs all over the world. And I've had a journey that's been one of joy. My favorite place that I've danced will always be with Camille Brown and dancers. I've learned so much about the idea of inspiration, but also taking your story as an individual POC. Being a Black man, I was able to take some of these stories and create actual real life inspiration, movement, quality performances, and stories through multiple years. And I was able to get a Princess Grace Award in 2022. So the hard work kind of paid off. And now I'm just really enjoying freelance and choreographing and teaching at multiple places and enjoying my life.
Awesome, impressive. My work here is done. So, when I think back to when we met at Jacob's Pillow, we were young dancers, figuring out who we were, getting into all sorts of trouble. If you could look back at that version of Malik now, what do you think he was already carrying that eventually became part of the artist and choreographer you are today?
Oh, that's such a good question, Gentry. That's such a good question. I would say his curiosity for diving a little bit deeper inside of himself uh, and the his love for process and being mischievous, kind of like pushing the buttons and bending the rules slightly, not totally breaking them, but understanding the rules so much that he knows where to have boundaries. Uh, I think those are all things that really helped me in my career later on and down the line.
Hmm. Oh, let's segue into this one. Hmm. So tell me a little bit about your work. Is it improvisation? Is it modern dance? Is it hip hop? How did you come to find this voice
Ooh. Um,
and this curiosity that seems to stir you?
I think being able to be very versatile is something that ended up being very important in my career. So I wanted to kind of show the same versatility in my movement. But I think before movement even came, I really needed to understand the stories that I wanted to tell. Um, and they were stories that I saw in myself. Like I never saw people create work about mass incarceration, and I wanted to dim light on that because I grew up in a household where I didn't have a father. So my dad not being there was something that was very important to me. And once I have a storyline to play with, then I think it made it very kind of easy to start playing with what movement would go where. Even like the old school Nike commercial with the basketball, like that would be things that would pop into my head of like watching me play basketball on the corner at 16 in my neighborhood, and seeing if I can make that a dance piece. So trying to just recreate or redesign life while it being our lives, so it touches us. Uh, I think I would walk out of shows that I would go see sometimes, and I didn't hear stories that I understood. Uh, so I wanted to create stories and spaces like that for people that look like me and that had the same experiences as me.
When you begin those works with these stories, is it about the music, an image, a movement, something happening in your life? Does every work ask for something different?
I believe I try to look at space and where I make works like being almost like a DJ. I have to kind of cater to the room. I want people to feel okay. And I know that, it's a thing of like, I don't need to be liked everywhere, but I want people to feel comfortable in spaces that I'm working in. So not the idea of pushing people past their boundaries, but letting them realize that they have some and that they can push past them, and then having them make choices of what they do with that space, with that energy, that a quote, a word, a phrase of movement. And I think each time it's completely different because I work with actors. I don't only just work with dancers, I work with painters as well. So I think you being just really clear with um, your information, but at the same time, being able to be open to their ideas and what they feel like they want to do. It needs to be a conversation. If it feels like a dictatorship, then it feels wrong. So I think that's something that's really important.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work with the operas? I know you've worked with a lot of different mediums. What challenges have you experienced along the way? And what sort of things surprised you working with different abled bodies?
You hit the nail right on the head. I think it's not that it's difficult. Um, when working in operas, you're working with people that usually stand and sing. They're not moving. They don't have to worry about rhythm. It's not musical theater. It's completely different. Um, uh, but I was taught really good skills through Camille and watching her create shows like Porgy and Bess and uh, oh, Fire Shut Up in My Bones. And just because it's Black spaces, what makes Black people want to dance? What are the things that make them sway? So sometimes the music helps with that, or sometimes playing a game, or sometimes asking a question of like, okay, when you're at church and it's Sunday morning and you caught the spirit, what's the action that you would do with your body? Woo! Okay, I need that on six. It's a great way to like for them to feel involved. I think once they feel involved, they feel a different type of accountability to the movement and to what they've crafted, and they've crafted it. So I didn't just give them movement; they made it on themselves with me involved. So then they hold it with pride. I think Black people just do that inherently when we do things and when we create things. It's automatically with pride. So it stands differently. It has more vigor inside of it. So yeah, I think when creating in those spaces, I go to the acting side of my brain and not the dancer side. The dancer side usually comes in later when we got to put counts and stuff to it, but the human and the conversation between the other artists, I try to remove singer from them as well and just treat them like artists and ask questions. I think that's usually the thing that comes first. So even if it feels difficult, I try to find a way again for them to feel comfortable and for me to feel comfortable, not like I'm being pulled out of my comfort zone um, and being someone that I'm not. I usually I'm very authentic. Sometimes that is detriment, especially being a straight Black man in the arts at times. Me saying no, I don't want to do that comes across totally different when I'm like, no, I'm putting my foot down. It's like, oh my God, he's being combative. No, I'm not. I'm just telling you that's my boundary. I don't want to do that. And so that might come into friction, but I usually solve all those problems with love, care, and attention.
And it's really important that you speak about advocating for yourself and standing up for yourself and how you can be perceived. That's not often spoken about in our field, in the creative field, or in just the space as a Black performer and being perceived in many different ways. Thank you for shedding a little light on that. Uh, my research for creative voices in dance is looking at voices across the Afro-Caribbean diaspora and the ways our histories and traditions travel with us. You've spoken a lot about your history in Black dance. Do you feel the need as a Black choreographer to tell particular stories? Or do you resist that kind of responsibility?
I think as a Black artist, you end up juggling in both worlds. You're going to, for you to back the things that you want to do as a Black artist, you will have to work in the commercial world at some point in time. So my stories are very important, but sometimes I have to use the capital of working in commercial work to pay for the stories that I want to tell because I'm not always going to get the grant. I'm not always, and that's where you then talk about the idea of like structure. Uh, some people don't make work because they're not getting grants. And then sometimes I see people hustle and work in the grassroots of it and not asking them for money. And I'm like, either both are absolutely fine. How you get it, that's how you get it. But I've been on both sides. And I feel comfortable on both sides to do either when it comes to creating work and having support in that way. That's a question. Yeah.
Well, that's really good. It's great to hear that. You've spoken a lot about Camille A. Brown, Cal Abraham, Francisca Harper, and this village. And I went to your website and I was so, one, as your friend and colleague, so proud to read about all of your accomplishments. It was great to see the work that you've done. Can you tell us a little bit about the village? You've written that it takes a village to raise a boy into a man. And you've spoken about your family, your dance family as being part of that village. When you think about the artist you've become, who or what stands out to you the most?
Hmm. I would always start with my grandmother and my mother. I think they are pillars, like the first pillars that really helped me like stand on my own 2 feet, uh, to believe in myself. And then from there, I would just say every institution that I could name so many people, Gentry, Crystal Hall Glass, Kim Greer, uh, Cassandra Pfeiffer, Miss Shipley, Francis A. Rhymes. These are all my teachers at Harlem School of the Arts in LaGuardia. Mr. Smith, um, Keith Lewis. Like I still see my teachers. I just saw Mr. Lewis at Misty Copeland's ballet festival at the Joyce, and I'm like, "You seen the show?" He's like, "Yeah, I just came from teaching at HSA." I'm like, "You still teaching?" He's like, "Yeah." So I'm humbled that those people still see me and they're like, "Wow, I'm proud of you." I get to actually get the flowers in real life. So when I say family and village, they're still watching me. They're still holding me accountable, but they're still also praising me. And I think sometimes that feels better to get praise from someone that's known you for so long, um, than getting praise from people that you just met, which I love. I'm not saying I'm not taking away from anyone that shows me love. I love it. Thank you very much. Grateful. But it hits different when this person has known you since you were 9, 10, 11 years old, and now you're about to turn 40, and they are still looking at you like, oh man, like I still see little Maleek, and I think that's really inspiring because now I have that same feeling watching my students. You feel that when you have your students and they grow up to be professionals, and now they're in the world, and you're like, I had something to do with that. I had a hand in it. So the village is very important. My grandmother and my mother definitely set that straight. But even going to places like Jacob's Pillow with J.R. Smith and Milton, uh, these are people that shaped us to want to do better for ourselves, leaving a space like that because we also felt like they were watching us. So the village has grown over the years. I would also say people like Moving My Seat, Nigel Campbell and Chanel De Silva are giants in my eyes. They were when I was a student at LaGuardia, and now they still are paving the way for the future of dance. And I've been grateful to be able to be a part of that organization from the inaugural year. So 12 years now, and that's insane to even think about. So yeah, the village keeps growing. It's pretty big too. I think I'm always impressed.
That's wonderful. I recall when you came to my school at New York School of the Arts, and I remember how the students just gravitated toward you. Some of them even, I believe, worked with you at Broadway Dance Center over the summer, and they came back during the fall, just raving on and on about you. They had no idea that you were then going to be the choreographer for that season. And I must say, the week that you were there, or even before then, the students just came with so much more enthusiasm. And especially the young boys, the more athletic, more acrobatic type gentlemen, they were definitely just so excited that they could get something new and still find a way to express themselves. And seeing them perform that work, it really meant something. Can you tell us a little bit about the creative process? When you're looking for dancers, what is it that you're trying to pull out of them? You've also mentioned a bit about your teachers imparting this wisdom on you. How do you see yourself continuing that legacy?
I almost started like I saw the moment that you were talking about in my head of watching Hochi like change as a dancer in that room, and for his teacher to be like crying. And I think those are moments that I've always wanted to give another student an opportunity to have something that's life changing, something that shows that they can evolve, whether it be in minutes or in hours. Um, that their worth is more than what they think it is or what the internet shows them that it is. Because you know they're kids still, so they're being told what they are instead of actually living life sometimes and feeling it and trying something new and not being afraid because you might get laughed at. Um, so those moments, especially at New World, were so amazing because I got to play. I got to kind of give myself, young Maleek, an opportunity to grow because I saw myself in a lot of them. So I would ask them questions or I would question what they were doing, and we would have really nice conversations that were impactful for them and for myself. Uh, they're great kids too. That was a dope piece. I like really enjoyed making it just because we had fun and we were always trying to elevate the next level. Um, and yeah, I think everybody, you know, everybody's trying to make like a blockbuster hit, right? I think the kids are the blockbuster. Like when they leave your situation, and I bump into them at colleges now, like Michigan, and I see some of them in their freshmen, and I'm like, yo, I just saw you, and now it's a whole new journey for them. Um, yeah, that and creating, I want to find that the black sheep. I want to find the person that normally doesn't get called out, and see what spark is in there that nobody else saw, like that diamond in the rough. And it's not even in the rough. Sometimes they just be shy. And you got to pull something out of them, and they need that one teacher that's like, I'm a little tough, but I do it with love. You know, there's a hug involved at the end. I've had kids cry in front of me. I'm talking about 5, 7, 10. And I think also having social media, understanding like the idea of you showing up for them and just holding space for them to express themselves so that they can get it out. You give them some information. How you feel? You're good. Let's try it. And then having everyone else in the room be support in that. There's no, oh, yo, look at, because if this was you, I would do the same thing for you. Creating that respect around through the whole room, I think makes everyone work differently because they know they have not a job, but a responsibility to the room. This is the village. How do we take care of each other? If we bring it back to that, you know, African nature of it, of like tribal, not even because it doesn't have to be African. Like not everyone's black. So there's Spanish, there's you know Cuban, there's Colombian, there's Jewish. Everyone has a tribe in some type of way. So how can we create that tribe mentality in this space? And this is our tribe, this school, this year, this piece, and then that become the strongest bond that you have. It's kind of like what you see in basketball or football. And then you see the Knicks in 5, the entire city of New York is so locked in because they feel the energy of like the winning sensation, that success, that movement of momentum. I think that's kind of what I like to bring to the kids.
This is great. When you speak, I can feel the shivers just moving through my body. So I know that you're talking about, something real. And I remember when you gave the workshop at Jacob's Pillow, just how transformative that was for everybody. Just to hear your voice and to watch you grow and watch your voice grow as well, and the impact that you're sharing with so many people. And I love that you are imparting this tribal sense, this everyone is seeing sort of. atmosphere where everybody feels that they're valued, which has not always been the case in our dance community. Thank you so much for that. We need much more of that, actually. Now, you received significant recognition for your work, including a Princess Grace Award and a Bessie nomination for Emerging Choreographer. Did there come a time or a moment when that external recognition changed the way you saw yourself as a choreographer? Or did you find your own belief in yourself have to come first?
I think you get a little bit of both. I think you get a moment of the imposter syndrome, being to be honest, like when you first get it, because you've always wanted the recognition. And then once you get the recognition, you're asking yourself, did you get it because you made good work, or did you get it because you're in this situation? Um, but for some of these awards, especially the ones that I didn't win, like for the besties, I was super hyped because of the pieces that I was doing. I was dancing for Camille, and it was one of my favorite pieces that I've ever done for her, which was Mr. Tolerance. And that was one of the pieces that I saw her company do. So again, full circle moment. To then be recognized for something that you watched that inspired you to later then be recognized for it as well feels like a telling moment. And I think it did more for me being like your hard work is also seen. So I was just happy to be recognized and for people to watch me and to still be watched now, to still have people show up to my class. Like again, it's a tribe. You take care of it, it will take care of you. I try to feed positive and you get back the same. Um, I think it does put a different type of pressure on you to like continue to keep making, keep doing, and keep getting awards. And I'm like, I don't not all the time. I kind of want to just live a normal life. And I'm also always intrigued by the idea of time. Like me not getting all that stuff now, that's okay because in 20 years I could be like doing something else and getting awards and something else. Like the creativity doesn't stop because that's not my goal. Uh I kind of my goal is to be a good human. My goal is to be happy. My goal is to do things that actually uh inspire me. So doing commercial work that I would never touch before, like 5 years ago, and now to be in that space because that's going to add new um, information for me to also help other dancers. So yeah, I'm always trying to learn. Yeah, it's a lot.
Thank you.
Well,
Well, the younger dancers that you're trying to help, what advice would you give a young choreographer today who is still trying to discover their own voice?
go for it. Do it. Whatever you're thinking about, go. Play. This is a great time for you to fail. I always say fail. What is it? Twilight Thought says, "Get an A in failure." There's a chapter that's in our book. Um, uh, the idea that you're gonna get it wrong before you get it right. Uh, I've tripped a couple of times, and just like the idea of what I'm making, I'm like, oh, that's cool, but I'm missing something right here. That's a trip to me. That's like, oh, that was you thought you were swagging it out, and then all of a sudden, oh, take yourself off. So trying to like stitch those moments to make them very clear. Um, then I would also tell them to. I just watched this documentary on Earth, Wind, and Fire yesterday by Questlove that was directing, and something that Maurice would do, the leader of the band, he would create crazy affirmations for himself. I'm going to be one of the most talented artists, to ever walk this earth. I want positivity and love to be a part of my music. And like the three mantras that he created for the band, he had done. But of course, it took like almost 40 years, 30, 40 years for that pinnacle to happen of like when they're performing for Obama. It's like so to watch it through other eyes in a group that's so masterful, like that has done so much, it kind of reminds you to be daring. That was one of the things that was came up on the screen, and I was like, yeah, I've been telling myself that for years. And just as a recognition to also understand why do you why do I feel so connected to a documentary like that? Because that man is living his full dreams and he was daring. Like, I want people to think, if people talk about me, they're like, yo, yeah, that guy does a lot. Like, it comes with reverence, it comes with not just popularity, but respect. and like understanding the nuance of the things that you do that I don't think anybody else can do the way you do it. Like, so that's why I say be creative, go do the things that you want, especially for the young artists, because you doing it now, you're really going to start to mold who you're going to be when you get older. Um, and it's okay to have questions, but I guess trying to answer them with life, not in a rush. That's another one. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm talking about time. So the idea of making it a smooth transition and not one that takes. Rolex technique.
That's great advice. Really is. All right, here's our final one.
Here we go.
Are you ready? So, with everything you've already experienced as a dancer, a choreographer, and educator, what continues to spark your curiosity? When you hear the phrase call to create, what does that mean to you?
When I hear call to create, I believe in the idea of identity and how I can be a mirror to other artists to see themselves with depth, with humility, with power, passion, and inspiration. And those are things that I could infuse into a person to think about for themselves, to see only positive actions and ideas for themselves. I think that's what I was called to be here, to be creative, to be a creator, um, to shift mindsets while making cool dance moves and all the things. But I think at a certain point when you're really masterful at something that is artistic, you go past just the medium that you have touched and you immerse yourself in so many other mediums. You go to museums, you go listen to jazz because you recognize what beauty is. So, how can I help others find the beauty in themselves the way that I felt the beauty in myself?
I love that. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Malik, it's been great catching up with you. I wish you continued success in all that you're doing. Thank you so much for joining us on the very first conversation of Creative Voices in Dance.